NBC News is defending the way a story was handled at this network.
NBC News chairman Andy Lack sending an email to every member of the news department about Ronan Farrow's initial investigation of former movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. NBC's Kate Snow is here with more on that. Kate, good morning.
Craig Hoda, good morning. Chairman Andy Lack sent that email along with a 9-page report detailing the facts as NBC News management sees them. The lengthy and detailed document follows reports last week in which Farrow's former producer accused the network of trying to kill the Weinstein story.
This morning, NBC News addressing the controversy. The network's chairman, Andy Lack, laying out what he says are the facts around former reporter Ronan Farrow's NBC investigation of disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. In an email to news employees overnight, Lack writing in part, contrary to recent allegations, at no point did NBC obstruct Farrow's reporting or kill an interview, calling it baseless speculation that some interference by Harvey Weinstein played a role in our decision-making. An internal report attached to the news employee email describes numerous calls and emails from Harvey Weinstein or his attorneys to NBC News executives. They were aggressive and persistent, the report says, and had no impact on the editorial process. NBC News also lays out a full timeline of Farrow and his producers' work on the story for the network, saying a team of 3 NBC News veteran journalists examined the story at the time and determined it was not ready for broadcast. They also found an example that NBC News says shows the extent to which Farrow had unfortunately misrepresented the material he had and misrepresented a source's willingness to identify Weinstein. After 8 months, the report says there was not a single victim of or witness to misconduct by Weinstein who was willing to be identified, so it did not meet journalistic standards practiced by major news organizations, including The New Yorker. Farrow left NBC News in August last year, ultimately publishing a Pulitzer Prize-winning print story about Weinstein in The New Yorker. NBC News says it was Farrow's decision to leave because, as Lack puts it, Farrow did not agree with the journalistic standards practiced by NBC News, and he said a print outlet was ready to move forward immediately. In a statement overnight, Ronan Farrow disputes that, saying it was NBC's suggestion to, quote, take the story to another outlet, and I took them up on it only after it became clear that I was being blocked from further reporting. Farrow adding, the story was twice cleared and deemed reportable by legal and standards, only to be blocked by executives who refused to allow us to seek comment from Harvey Weinstein. One of Harvey Weinstein's accusers, Emily Nestor, backed Farrow's account. In a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, she says she had filmed an interview in silhouette, but later tentatively offered either to attach my name to the interview in silhouette or potentially even reshoot the interview with my face visible. However, they were not interested in this interview. NBC News repeatedly states in the Lack email and report that Farrow did not have a single victim or witness willing to go on the record. In response to Lack's email and the report issued last night, Ronan Farrow's former NBC News producer, Rich McHugh, who recently left the network, issued a statement on Twitter saying in part, I'm not clear how NBC's report can be considered objective and thorough, given I was never interviewed for the report and only learned about it when asked for comment by reporters late last week.
A spokesperson for NBC News says McHugh was not interviewed for the report issued last night because the company had the information it needed, and the report is a complete accounting. There was no response from NBC News to the overnight statements of Ronan Farrow, but NBC News did release a statement just now regarding Nestor, the Weinstein accuser, saying Nestor is the anonymous victim of harassment referred to in the NBC News document and was contacted during the editorial review process by an investigative producer with 2 decades of experience. She took contemporaneous notes of their conversation, and at no time then or since did Nestor tell NBC News she was willing to be named. We have posted, by the way, guys, the full email from Andy Lack and the report, the 9-page report, on today.com in case people want to read the whole thing.
All right, Kate, thank you.
Thank you.